Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the fourth and final game of the day, where we will see our teams almost put it all on the line here before we enter into the fourth and final day tomorrow here of Stage 2 for the PELC promos, where the top nine, yes, the top 9 teams will be advancing into phase number 1 of 2020 for the PELC. So a lot is on the line here for these squads. Again, this will be another rung of the ladder for them to climb up to get towards the path to Pro League, where all of these teams want to find themselves playing in the arena in Berlin, Germany for the PEL. Fight Club, looking at your standings, have a dominant lead on the leaderboard, a team that has come in and just absolutely blown things up here. Based off of just today's performance, they weren't a squad that has held first place position before today in the first 2 days of the Stage 2 tournament, but they are absolutely a squad that has shown us they have elevated their gameplay. They've done at least a little bit of shoring up of some of the identifiable areas of weakness that they saw in days number 1 and 2, and really came back with a fury. And you love to see it. It's been a pretty incredible run for this squad, and we'll see how it continues over the next 5 games. Istanbul Wildcats not having a bad tournament for their own right. They came out of Stage 1 with a very solid placement, a very solid set of points and performance, and now sit in second place. But for the nasty 20-point games that the Fight Club squad has been putting up on the board, they're still going to be able to contest it. Plane Path going to be coming in here for the final game of the day, and we are back to the tried and tested, that OG map of Erangel. And already players going to be dropping out. The fairest plane path possibly of Stage 2 that we have seen, it pretty much dissects Erangel in half. Not going to be too much up towards, I mean, literally, it is almost dissecting Erangel in half. This is pretty much the best that these teams could have expected. West to east we go, no real implications. As far as the plane path is going to be concerned, all of our teams will be able to find those primary loot locations and shouldn't be stuck in too much of a unknown or difficult spot. Teams more so in this lobby than in most have begun to migrate up here towards the northwest. Zarki, North Georgia Pole, and South Georgia Pole have definitely been big magnets for a few squads throughout our Erangel matches here in stage number 2. But with all teams having been kicked out of the cargo hold of the plane, they are going to be left to those team dynamics and individual player mechanics to push themselves through this game. 15 seconds on the clock until we will see that phase 1 circle pop up. But as for now, fairly quiet, fairly standard. ADR farmers going to be pushing a little bit over towards the west, not too aggressively towards Milta, where Stellar likes to static drop, but still going to be a presence in that direction. Phase 1 pops. It's going to be a more difficult circle than it was the plane path. All the way over to the western side of Erangel, we will be going, centered off to the fields just northwest of Gatka, is where phase 1 finds itself dropping. Water going to be in play. The channel, the river leading out of Yasnaya, going into the Bay of Georgia Pole, going to be in play. And so a lot of factors here for the teams to have to consider beyond just the massive exodus from the east from a majority of the teams here in the lobby. Members of Boris, they've loved this position up here in Severny, and by virtue of the plane path being so fair, are going to have a quick opportunity to get up here and pick apart this town before making the rotation over towards the west. CrazyCrew going to be holding on here in South Georgia Pole, a lovely spot for them to be all alone and uncontested. A high loot density location for them to pop through the front 6, a very easy spot to move through and get on an early rotation to find a more favorable position inside of the circle. Again, that's what these teams that have landed inside of phase 1 have the opportunity to do here at the early stages of this game. 3 minutes, though, have been met, and as about a minute and a half more time goes on, we're going to start to see those movements begin to take place. HaKoHe sitting up here in Zarki, a spot that is traditionally not really taken up by many squads. It's definitely one of the most polarized locations on the map. and where we, you know, there's no real code to it, obviously, but we haven't seen many northern circles here on Erangel recently. Preacher is going to be holding on to Razak uncontested once again. We'll only have to worry about Tony team down to the southwest. The rotation paths are likely going to be fairly parallel as they make their way from east to west. But really outside of that, teams are going to have a fairly quiet early game. I wouldn't expect too much action to pop off here as Tony team does push out. Saban going to be riding up onto the base of the hillside of Georgia Pole Mountain and continuing on down towards the southwest. Hakkapeliittas is going to be on their own rotation, a convoy leading from east to west as they cross through some very open fields off to the east now of Gatka. You see, I believe that's going to be Royalty off here holding down Gatka, definitely in a position to spray down. Saban, no, we just checked in with him going on that scout. And unfortunately, this is the risk you run as a scout. Long-range shots going to be finding their connections here for CrazyCrew. So definitely an unfortunate set of circumstances. He was on a motorcycle too. I mean, a small target. The chances of that happening are very slim and definitely were reduced as much as possible by Saban in putting out that scout. But sometimes that's PUBG for you, and that's the way it goes. Level and their known loot location of Lipovka going to have one of the farthest rotations as well, from the far east coast all the way to the west coast. This is a squad that you will likely see favor a late rotation, possibly even riding inside of the blue zone to enter into phase number 1. We've talked about it at least a few times. There's a few different types of rotations that can be made in PUBG. You've got your early rotations, you've got your average rotations, and then you've got your very late rotations. Each has a different impact, a different intention by these squads. The early rotations obviously avoid the mess, get in the early rotation, but that heavily depends on your opportunity to get looted up quickly. Plane path, phase 1 circle, etc. can all be a factor in that. Average rotations, yeah, I mean, it pretty much speaks for itself. You're going to be getting maybe a little bit of conflict as more teams move around the 4.5 minute mark, the 5 minute mark here on Erangel. And then these super late rotations, they've dropped out of favor, at least as time has progressed. We used to see them a lot more. But super late rotations where you trade out some of your early game meds to enter into a circle where teams aren't even going to be holding on to the edges, right? Teams are likely going to be having advanced already into phase number 2 off of that phase 1 shift. So that's essentially what you're going to be seeing from a few different squads here around the map. Suppy and the rest of Royalty still going to be holding on to Gatka. They're in a bit of a split right now. They need to be careful. Fight Club going to be disabled. A blown back right tire will be spinning out the UAZ, and up in flames it does go. Has not exploded yet, but will be immediately departed by these two members of Fight Club to avoid the shots coming out from the intruders, who have knocked both of these players down to about 30% HP. A quick retreat has been put into effect, and successfully at that, at least for right now, as they continue to wrap around the hillside. Intruders, though, aren't going to be giving up on this just yet. Rekorder advances up to the hillside, and hearing this buggy approach, both members of Fight Club going to be dropping down into the prone position, almost in unison, popping meds and hitting the prone position. That's what you like to see. The team synergy, you know, in comms. They immediately said prone and prepare. Intruders still going to be coming off of this. They didn't crest over the hillside from where the buggy approached from. Instead, Rekorder does drop back over to the eastern side where the other 4 members of this intruder squad are going to be rolling up for him. Shots come out. ZorF, once again, a very, very huge player for this Fight Club squad, is able to find the first knockdown. Unfortunately, traded back out as Mkaelovich finds the headshot with the barrel. 1 member left, at least in this location, for Fight Club, and they're going to be spotted out. Unfortunately, Fight Club lose 2 in the process, and Intruders are able to continue on, likely going to be able to pick up Rekorder and remain a 4-man unit. Boris approaches and enters into phase number 1 off of the northeastern edge. 48 seconds going to be on the clock until the blue zone does shift us into phase number 2 and give us a better idea of the landscape for the early to mid game transition. Melt the Power going to be picking up massive information here from Georgia Pole Mountain as they sit atop, looking over towards the triple warehouses just south of South Georgia Pole. They do spot out at least 1 squad and will be taking their opportunity to put some shots out onto this team as they push off the hospital hill. On a motorcycle, but fully exposed. Hard shots to hit, but leave it to find to at least be able to find a few connections. Phase number 1 closes out in 5 seconds. And we will then see this phase 2 shift. All of our teams have been able to make it into this phase 1 circle, some in better positions than others, especially now that we have the benefit of seeing where phase 2 did land. A slight nudge down to the southeast off of our phase 1 central point will be encompassing pretty much the entirety of the lobby that was able to find a position in phase number 1. A slight adjustment is going to be coming out, specifically as you see Boris riding along the western flank of Georgia Pole Mountain. Across many different teams is where they're going to be going. CrazyCrew holding onto the radio tower. Many other positions going to be locked down as well. Crossfire. CrazyCrew actually has a very deadly position. They've got 2 a little bit north of the field of radio tower, and then they've got 2 at the actual radio tower with a massive crossfire. Hawk from Brute Force going to be crashed upon as Mackenzie rolls up as well. Just in the nick of time, the other members of Brute Force are going to be showing up and capitalizing on top of this Boris crash. Mkaelovich trying to spray down inside of the windows, inside of the stairwell, where Brute Force is repositioning. Hawk and AmerouuS holding on significantly to the first floor of the garage as the 4th member of Brute Force rolls up. Another knock does come out. Mkaelovich going to be dropped down. Hawk is able to find that one. And looking for the other member of this squad. Vehicle explosion can be coming out in a quick barrage of gunfire. Boris is still going to be having 1 alive, guys. That's a spectator error once again. perfectgod. I was wondering. I was like, how did perfectgod die on the 2nd story of the Prio building? No, not possible. Once again, just going to be a slight bug. Nades prepped. perfectgod, the solo player of the aggressive breachers of Boris, will have a tall task in front of them. 3 members of Brute Force going to be sitting on the bottom floor waiting for perfectgod to show his face, but it's going to be Mackenzie that holds the off angle of the stairwell through the balcony door and finds the elimination. Out goes Boris, our first team to be eliminated here in game number 4, the final game of the day. Team going to be riding off of Georgia Pole Mountain, not going to be wanting to contest the presence of level just about 30 to 50 meters off to the northwest. However, in trying to disengage with the Dacia, they do give out the audible cues and quickly draws the attention of level off the hillside. But in those shots, also they are drawing the attention to Melt the Power on the western side of Georgia Pole Mountain. This is an area of the map, Georgia Pole Hill, Georgia Pole Mountain, Everest, God Mountain, whatever you want to call it. It certainly has many names. But it is an area where multiple teams can at least comfortably sit. 2 teams is really the threshold for that. The 3rd team that enters into the fray usually ends up creating a pinch position on the middle side of the mountain. We'll see how it progresses, though, here in phase number 2 with about 25 seconds left. Stellar. A lot of Stellar fans in chat. Shout out to you guys showing support for your squads here in these games. Means a lot to them. Believe me, means a lot. Those pilots, another fan favorite here in chat, going to be trying to have a better performance off of this game as they hold on to the edge of phase number 2. I like the play coming out from Dos right now, recognizing, starting, more and more teams are doing that. We've talked about it. More and more teams are starting to recognize the benefit of not playing super aggressively in terms of position as well as in terms of fighting, in terms of engagements in the early stages of the game. You really just don't benefit too much off of it. Unfortunately, a hardship does come out, and the members of Dos will have to make a movement off of this eastern edge, which once was safe. Other rotations going to be dropping down from the north. And Stellar looks to at least claim a dominant hold to the southern side of this phase's circle. Tony team threading the needle in between multiple different squads as well, drawing the crossfire in from the Preachers as well as possibly the ADR farmers. And as they continue on, even Fight Club and the Intruders are going to be taking shots at this Tony team caravan that has now been able to somehow make it all the way down to the south. This is going to be a massive rotation for Tony team, one that is a check-off item on their win conditions for this match. Dos also going to be making a very aggressive trek through the exact same path. Hell, it worked out for Tony team. It should work out for Dos as well. At least that is the thinking. as they make their way down to the south also. Yes, safely have been able to do so. A lot of gunfire still going to be coming out from these squads. And those pilots continue on the hillside. Wouldn't necessarily be a bad position for them to stop off at. If they continue on down to the south, they will likely find themselves clashing with Stellar. But the Harry Potter is going to be the held position, at least for right now, as we wait for Phase 3 to close out in about a minute and a half. Mill to Power, by nature of these shifts down to the south, have had to depart off of Georgia Pole Mountain and will be riding past Radio Tower Hill, which has also been departed from by the CrazyCrew. Shots come out. Preachers trying to crash here into Gatka, which we did see Royalty. They pushed off of Gatka in favor of the yellow buildings just off to the west. I'm not sure how much of an important decision that was, how much that'll pay off for them, but the Preachers are going to be paying Hakkapeliittas in terms of kills. Legendary, going to be knocked down very quickly from that engagement level. Going to be riding the western coast all the way from north down to the south, trying to avoid the lines of sight that could be held by Brute Force. Brute Force certainly within earshot. A quick spray down headshot connection going to be coming out from HalloSenpai. Very significant shot right there in that rotation. Will be disabling at least some of the members of this. Oh, another one. HalloSenpai is a beast. Holy cow. These headshots in the vehicles are not easy to make, ladies and gentlemen. But he has come up with 2 of them so far, a third in his sights. Easy flushes should be coming out right now for Brute Force on top of level. It's going to be a good set picked up. Yeah, Senpai is right. Exactly. Absolutely crazy shots coming in right there. I think, chat, I think Brute Force has turned it around. I don't mean to jinx them right now, as they do have a member Hawk going to be flushed down and out of the game. But I think Brute Force has, at least off the previous game and in the first half of this game, they've really displayed a different Brute Force than we saw at the beginning of the day. 16 minutes here into the final game of day number 3 of 4. And we see the shift going over towards the west. Blue Zone going to be prepping for this push over towards the western side of things very shortly, as our teams do exactly the same. Pluto and the rest of CrazyCrew going to be holding on to the observatory. Multiple vehicles going to be at their disposal. Preachers taking whatever opportunity around their map that they can get to both disable vehicles, try to whittle down teams in whatever way possible. But it's not just going to be the Preachers. Multiple other squads now have engagement sites on top of Hakkapeliittas. Martin going to be flushed down and out. That's Fight Club coming in and lending a hand as a third-party factor in this fight. Magebane, Mill to Power going to be knocked down from this counter position held by the members of CrazyCrew. Although knocked inside of the building, will have an opportunity to get rezzed by one of their teammates. Brute Force coming in on the bike, almost ran over Flasm. Flasm dodges it with a quick strafe over towards the left and ends up finding a nice spray down coming in for level. That's a bit of revenge for the members of that squad on top of HalloSenpai. What a camera angle, though. Shout out to our observers over at PEL Esports for being able to catch that. I mean, talk about it, guys. That's, you know, I like to briefly mention some of the things, the similarities that viewers can draw from PUBG competitive games, and a lot of it revolves around vehicles, hard shifts, etc. And that is definitely going to be one of them. Everyone, for the most part, has felt the fear of a motorcycle or another vehicle driving right into your position. ADR having a very tough time right now as they're suffering multiple knocks right here. Myca able to recover off of that, tries to stick the res at the final moment, and looks like they're going to be able to do so. Those pilots on a massive disengage to at least try to get back to the 4-stack of their teammates on the Harry Potter Hill. But in doing so, are going to be suffering knocks. Tony team pushes up. A very significant flank play coming out from the base of this hillside, but also revealing the position. Rita going to be trying to line up some shots. The knock comes in. Laza able to find it. The flush as well. Brute Force's position is going to be the shack, pinned down by the members of the Intruders a little bit down to the south from where Brute Force is currently holding. They've been knocked down from 4 members alive to quickly now 2. AmerouuS and McKenzie trying to make a last stand for this team here. Just shy of the 20-minute mark, and big nade going to be coming in from Mkaelovich as he catches AmerouuS trying to take some peeks around the right-hand side of the shack, and will be going down because of it. Follow-up nade not going to be able to find the connection. And inside of the shack, AmerouuS goes. Oh, huge nade. Holy cow, talking about threading the needle. One of the hardest nades to hit in PUBG. I'm going to say it right there, and I think many will agree. Trying to get a nade through those small shack windows at range, incredibly difficult. I'm talking incredibly difficult. That is a hell of a play, a hell of a throw coming in for that squad. Intruders, man, put that, like, that's another highlight clip. If I were that player that threw that nade, highlight clip, baby, all day long. That's the type of plays that separate the wheat from the chaff, essentially right there. Next shift going to be coming out here, and it's a slight nudge off of our previous circle center point, but not going to be too drastic for many of these teams. All things considered, just going to be a slight reduction in play area with no real implications other than that. Still some teams, though, trying to work their way in off the far western side. Not going to find the easiest of time in doing so. Another member of mrtn does get dropped down, and Magebane is going to be trying to make a last-ditch effort to get over to their fallen teammate. This is a huge play. Both UAS is going to be pulled off from the compound to try to get there, but in doing so, we'll be losing one more member in the process. Fine gets exploded in the UAS. And Magebane, just in the nick of time, is able to pop out of the vehicle before meeting the exact same fate. The plan there for mrtn was to try to get both UASs over to the open hillside to provide that mobile cover for their fallen teammate, Guess, and pick them back up. Magebane wasn't able to get all the way there, and unfortunately, even if they were able to do so, they still had to face off. Now again, holy cow, CrazyCrew ends up protecting the members of mrtn. They say, hold on, Fight Club. Our kills. You stay back. Let us pick you off, and then we'll worry about the already disabled mrtn squad that is still down there. Magebane did have to... Oh, that nade getting very close. We'll be able to find the flush onto Guess Who, and then quickly after, the peek comes down from Pluto, and the spray down headshot connection from the Scar ends up wiping out mrtn in 10th place position. 9 teams now going to be remaining here in the final, maybe 10 minutes or so of this Erangel match, the final match of the day, before we break in to, what is it going to be called? Championship Wednesday. Yes. Championship Wednesday. Tomorrow, the final 4 games of Stage 2 of the PELC promos. We're at the end of the day. Tomorrow, 9 teams announced here on stream will be moving on to Phase Number 1, PELC 2020. Starting off the year, and PELC is going to be a hell of a victory for 9 of these teams, but it's not earned yet. Some teams fairly comfortable with where they sit on the leaderboards. Others, not so much. A majority of the teams still within striking distance of being displaced. A few, obviously going to be sitting pretty high. One of those going to be Fight Club as they make this rotation. Hakkapeliittas stays undetected. staXx, the solo member for this squad, will have a bodyguard in front of him down towards the south. Next shift comes out. ADR Farmer is going to be engaged with Fight Club. They spot him out, able to get a quick knock and a flush onto Gifted. I love seeing these two teams clash. There's something about them based off of just how powerful both of these teams are. They were our kill leaders coming into the day. They have been our most successfully aggressive teams, and I definitely put emphasis on the word successfully. And now they clash. Circle, able to stay alive, but ADR Farmers recognize that in this opportunity, in that knock and the flush onto one member of Fight Club, they can start to move north, see if they can capitalize on a numbers advantage. Circle, though, going to be undetected as ADR Farmers trend more so inside of Phase Number 6. They want to play position first, then turn around and find the kills, which is the smart play. Stellar still working off of that southern position they've been holding for a majority of the last few phases, at least in the mid to late game transition. Phase Number 6 in full effect as the blue zone pushes up, and Stellar slowly with it. They're going to have a few obstacles presented once they go over this hillside near the edges of Phase Number 6. But given their numbers, given what they're working with, I wouldn't be surprised to see Stellar be able to secure this away from Dose Pilots. Fight Club going to be spotted. Circle, the remaining member, is able to stay alive based off of the third party coming in from Beamy of Stellar, but Myca ends up finding the shots regardless. Down goes Circle, down goes Fight Club, and down go the ADR Farmers quickly thereafter. 5 teams now going to be remaining here in the final moments of this match. 13 players alive. Numbers going to be heavily favoring CrazyCrew and Stellar, the only 2 teams out of these 5 with 4 members up and kicking. 2 solo players going to be on the board here. Those pilots having Rita, and then Hakkapeliittas having staXx. 3 alive for HaKoHe, and that creates our final 5 teams. CrazyCrew, Vital, going to be popping some shots over towards HaKoHe's position, currently on the far western side of phase number 6. A few connections to be had right now, but basically just a peak battle back and forth between Vlad and Vital. As expected, we're going to have a bit of a standstill here in these final few moments of this game. The circle here in phase number, definitely phase number 6, even in phase number 7, once we see this shift, it's large enough to accommodate all 5 of these remaining teams, especially based off of the numbers that they're working with. CrazyCrew has a good opportunity to secure a dominant hold on the northern side of the circle. Stellar, with their numbers, very able to wrap around and essentially clear out these solo players. They've got to remain working as a team, though. A solo player can be devastating, especially when a squad splits into a 2-2 split. Even more impactful when you're in a kind of 2-2-1, a very wide split that the members of Stellar now find themselves in relative to this phase 7 size. Hakkapeliittas staXx trying to rotate in. Up in a full standing sprint position will be an easy spot for Beamy with the M416 spray. Comes out and wipes out our 5th team here. Out goes Hakkapeliittas, 5th place position. 4 teams now remaining. 12 players alive. A 3-player per team average. Poke shots continue to be traded back between the locations of CrazyCrew and HaKoHe. HaKoHe really just trying to open something up here. They found themselves shifted outside of the zone, and look at this creep up from Lazy. It's being very aggressive here. Trying to find this flank on top of CrazyCrew could be incredibly significant, especially given the fact that they are being third-partied on by Stellar. The attention drawn all the way over to the eastern side of this circle, draws it off of HaKoHe, and the shots come out. Lazy was trying to capitalize on it. A few connections, but no fatal drop-downs coming in for this squad. Now it's going to be on Stellar, currently with 6 kills to their name, as Celis pushes up, trying to support the other 3 teammates of the squad who have taken that forward advancement, that forward position inside of this phase 7 circle. VladKot is spotted off in the far distance. Celis trying to hold this around the left and right hand side of the tree with the Mini 14 8 times. Definitely has the tools to do so. Will he be able to find those pre-fires though? Yes! Big headshot connection coming in for Celis right there. 61 points of damage being applied, but Stellar will continue to take casualties. Beamy gets sprayed down by the AKM of STaravillo of CrazyCrew. However, the trades come back out. STaravillo, the exact player that got the drop down. Moleman will be able to find a frag grenade connection from downtown. Now the smokes will be deployed. They've got to find a way to get Beamy back alive and try to work off of this 4-man advantage that they could possibly pick up if they find the flush on the CrazyCrew. CrazyCrew will be finding themselves eliminated in 4th place position. A massive sweep coming out from HaKoHe will continue to decimate not just CrazyCrew, but also possibly even Stellar in the process. Vlad, the rest of the HaKoHe squad, is incredibly aggressive and successfully at that. VladKot is able to find the headshot connection with the SLR onto Jomboe. Down goes one of the 4 members of Stellar. Not flushed out of the game just yet. Still going to have an opportunity to pick Perez and still work off of a 4-player advantage. But with the Dose pilots now being dropped out as well, Rita gets tagged down. We now truly have 2 teams remaining. Beamy able to find that kill, able to find a knockdown onto Vlad, and Moleman able to return it as well with the AKM headshot onto Fiend. Down goes one, down goes another, and Stellar claimed the final chicken dinner of the day with 21 points in the pocket. 11 kills is exactly what this squad was looking for, and that mean mug on the star is certainly going to be happy as they roll into the final day tomorrow. Big ups. Got to give credit over to Moleman, Beamy, Celis, and the rest of the crew here, John Boy as well, for coming up with that victory. It wasn't an easy one, and it took a lot of movement, a lot of strategy, and a lot of thinking to be able to get there. Big props to that crew for the final chicken dinner of the day, closing out day number 3, and now entering us into discussion about day number 4. Championship Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen, is coming up next. It's going to be popping off tomorrow, the same time, exact same place, with me, your commentator, Esquire, to bring you the voice, the voice to the action, the words to the action, whatever you want to call it. We'll take a look at some of the replays here from the final game of the day. Definitely some highlight-worthy plays coming out from this match in particular. Whether it was HalloSenpai beaming headshots off of level in that vehicular transition along the far western coast, whether it was some of these big nades coming in. I mean, we just had it all here today. And as such, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't give a shout out, guys, to our observers for being able to catch the action. Here's one of the highlights as well. A massive nade being threaded through that small window of the shack at range. It is a nade that is so incredibly difficult to hit. And I know we got some pros here in the chat going to be watching. You guys definitely can appreciate that for sure, how difficult of a nade that was. This fight here on the northern slope of the hillside off of the observatory was a pretty good one to watch as well. A lot of different swings back and forth between those 3 teams that were fighting to claim that area of the map. Fight Club and ADR Farmers, they clashed. It was another epic battle. We saw a 1v1 in between these squads earlier in the day on Miramar to claim a chicken dinner. Got another little taste of that engagement here in this match. It was beautiful to see. And then the final moments here of the game, a massive stance being put out by the members of Stellar. Moleman's nade on top of STaravillo was huge right there. It stalled out CrazyCrew long enough on the northern side of the circle to be capitalized on by HaKoHe, and that's exactly what happened. And then our final engagement, Moleman and the rest of the crew coming up clutch, securing the chicken dinner here in the final game, game number 4 of day number 3, or game number 12 of this 16-game series. Let's take a look at how the points shaped up here for these squads. Our bottom half of the leaderboards for match number 12 alone. One team, just one, going to be walking away with 0 points from this match. It's Boris. And as we progress into the top 8 teams from match number 12, 21 points going to be walked away with Stellar. HaKoHe, not an insignificant amount of performance and points picked up here as well. 14 points picked up by them. CrazyCrew and ADR Farmers with 9 apiece. Brute Force coming in with another bit of consistency. 8 kills to their name, 0 placement points. But Brute Force is playing exactly the type of game they need to correct themselves off of the kind of devastating shifts in the leaderboards that we saw over yesterday in the first half of today. So big shout out to them for not allowing any of that to encroach on their mental fortitude. Damage leaders from match number 12 going to be held by CrazyCrew. 2 of their top 2 members going to be holding on to those top damage spots. Kills, Stellar Beamy with the top kills from the final game of the day. That's 6 kills to claim that title. Fiend not going to be too far behind for HaKoHe. And then let's stack them up. Stellar versus HaKoHe in a head-to-head, first and second place respectively. Very similar damage, a little bit more on the side of HaKoHe. They were in more fights on the northern side of the circle. But here's what everyone is looking for going into tomorrow, Championship Sunday. Your leaderboards for the PELC Promo Stage 2. Fight Club still going to be sitting atop in first place position, 136 points, 36 points gap in between first and second place. I want to focus, though, very quickly on our bottom half of the leaderboards. This is where our focus is going to be heavily put in tomorrow's sets of matches. 3 points is all that separates CrazyCrew and Hakkapeliittas from switching positions, and 1 team from not making it into the PELC for 2020. Our top 9 continue on into phase 1 of PELC to kick off the new year. It certainly is going to be up for grabs tomorrow. Still a lot of movement that could be had from even our teams dropping down into, I'm not even going to say that Boris is out. Royalty is going to have a hell of a day tomorrow. I'm talking back-to-back chicken dinners if they want to get into the top 9. But, it's not out of reach. And I never want to say that teams are completely out of the running. We've seen stellar performances from squads in the past, and who knows what tomorrow will have in store for us here at the PELC Promos. Your winners on the day, Fight Club with the 2 chicken dinners. Half of the games played out today were won by Fight Club in dominant fashion, plus 20-point games is what they took away. ADR Farmers winning the second game of the day on Miramar, and then Stellar closing out day number 3 with a great win on Erangel. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for day 3's broadcast. From myself, Esquire, your commentator, thank you so much for showing up and showing support not just to your favorite teams, your favorite players, but also to PUBG Esports. It's always a pleasure to see familiar names in the chat like we have throughout the last, 7 days of this PELC Promos tournament. And we hope to see you tomorrow, same time, same place, here at PEL_Esports. We'll see you then.